Ever imagine walking into work, knowing you're about to make a real difference in someone's life? Not just the daily grind, but like actually changing things for the better.
Yeah, that's the heart of social work for sure.
It is. But we're going deeper here, right?
Yeah.
We're not just skimming the surface.
Right, right.
This is your deep dive request, a whole stack of resources on what it really takes to make it in this field.
Yeah, and this career guide we're starting with, it gets real, you know?
Oh, does it ever?
It talks about the emotional toll it can take, the crazy workload sometimes, even the pay, which, let's be honest.
Not always the best.
Exactly. It makes it clear this isn't just a job, it's a calling. You got to have that fire for social justice.
So more than just wanting to help, it's about really fighting for what's right.
Exactly. And that fight, it takes all kinds of forms. The guide uses this phrase, practice-based professionals.
Okay, I like that. What does that even mean?
Basically, it means you're not just stuck in theory, you're out there making things happen. Imagine, like, one day you're helping a family with the foster care system, the next you're at a community meeting, fighting for better mental health resources.
So definitely not your average 9 to 5. We're talking real people,
Yeah.
real challenges. The guide even says uncovering needs, almost like a detective or something.
That's a good way to put it. You wear a lot of hats in this job. Part
Yeah.
detective, part therapist, part guide.
Oh, wow. I never thought of it like that.
You're figuring out what people need, offering support, and then connecting them to the resources that'll help them get back on their feet. Could be healthcare, housing, jobs, legal aid, you name it.
And it's not just individuals, right? The guide talks about working with families, groups, the whole works. That's got to take serious people skills.
No doubt. Empathy, listening, that's key. You're not just telling people what to do, you're building trust, empowering them to make changes themselves. Like, imagine working with a refugee family brand new to the country. You need cultural sensitivity, maybe language skills, and you're navigating this whole complex system on their behalf. It's challenging, but man, when you see those successes.
That's got to be rewarding. And it seems like those challenges are always evolving, especially with technology changing how everything works. The guide mentions telehealth. How's that impacting things?
It's huge, especially for reaching people who might not have easy access to services. Think about it. Someone in a rural area needing counseling can now get it online.
That's incredibly.
It's about constantly adapting, using these tools to bridge gaps and make sure everyone gets the help they need.
Speaking of tech, we got to talk about these RoleCatcher articles you sent. AI changing how the whole job hunting game works? That's
It's a lot, right?
a little intimidating.
I get it, but honestly, it's not about tricking some system. It's about understanding how it works and using that to your advantage.
So, like, AI is reading my resume now. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, it's scanning for keywords, specific skills, making sure you're a good fit for the job.
No more blasting out the same generic resume to everyone then.
Not if you want to stand out. Think of AI as this really efficient but kind of literal-minded assistant.
Okay.
It needs to see the connection between your skills and what the employer wants right there on the page. A generic resume, it just doesn't compute.
So how do I make my resume speak AI? Is that where this RoleCatcher thing comes in? With like AI-powered resume help and stuff?
Exactly. It's like you wouldn't walk into an interview without prepping, right?
Right.
AI is like another interviewer you got to impress, and RoleCatcher gives you the tools to do that.
Like a secret weapon. But having the right tools is just part of it, right?
Yeah.
What else does this guide say is important for success in this field?
One thing that jumps out is they're big on planning your career, like right from the start.
Not just winging it after you graduate.
Not at all. They break it down, entry level to senior positions, and they stress internships, volunteering, getting experience under your belt.
Makes sense. Get your feet wet.
Exactly. Build those skills, make connections, because networking, that's huge in this field, they say.
It's who you know. Right.
It helps, but you got to have the knowledge and the connections. Networking opens doors to jobs, mentorship, all of that. It's not just who you know, it's how you present yourself too, you know? The guide, it really emphasizes that online presence.
Right. LinkedIn, all that.
Exactly. Got to showcase those skills, let people know what you bring to the table. And it goes beyond just having a profile. They even talk about portfolios.
A portfolio for social work. What would that even look like?
Think about it. You're a recruiter, right? 2 resumes, pretty similar on paper, but then one person, they also link to a portfolio. They've got this whole community outreach program they designed, testimonials, actual results.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Who are you going to call first?
Makes sense. Proof is in the pudding, as they say.
Yeah.
But, we've been talking a lot about the career side of things, but I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier, that emotional weight that comes with this work. The guide, it doesn't sugarcoat that at all.
Not even a little bit. It's real about the burnout risk, the heavy caseloads, all the red tape that can just drain you. Imagine you start your day in family court, fighting for a kid, then you spend the afternoon battling paperwork so a senior citizen can get their health care.
It's like every day is a whole emotional roller coaster.
And the pay, like we said.
Right. Not always a lot to show for it.
Exactly. The guide acknowledges that. It says, look, the financial rewards, they might not always match the emotional investment. But, and this is a big but, it also talks about the fulfillment, the knowing that you're making a real difference in people's lives.
So it's less about the paycheck and more about finding work that, I don't know, aligns with your soul or something.
Exactly. It's about those victories, big or small.
Yeah.
A family reunited, someone getting back on their feet because you connected them with the right resources. That feeling, you can't put a price on that.
I like that. It seems like the kind of field that really draws people who genuinely want to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And speaking of making things better, the guide mentions how much social work is changing. What are some of the big trends shaping the future, do you think?
One of the biggest is this whole idea of trauma-informed care. It's about realizing that trauma, it leaves a mark, you know?
Absolutely.
And it's not just about dealing with the immediate crisis. It's about understanding how past experiences, especially traumatic ones, can shape how someone sees the world, how they act.
It's getting to the root of the issue, not just putting a Band-Aid on it.
Exactly. Creating a safe space for people to heal, to feel heard. That's what it's all about. And this approach, it's changing how social workers interact with clients, how they advocate for bigger changes.
So it's not just about helping individuals. It's about addressing those systems that can sometimes cause harm in the first place.
Right on. And along with this trauma-informed care, there's also a big push for integrated health care, bringing together mental and physical health.
Which makes sense because they're so interconnected.
Totally. And social workers, they're in a unique position here. They see the whole picture, social, emotional, economic factors that all play a role in someone's well-being.
They're like the conductors, making sure everything works together.
Perfect analogy.
So we've talked about how demanding this field is, the skills you need, that empathy. But I want to shift gears a bit and talk about the different paths a social work career can take. This guide mentions specializations, and some of them I had no idea. You know what? When I think social work, I usually picture like working with families in crisis, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the front lines.
But this guide, it shows there's so much more to it than that. All these different paths you can take. Like, it mentions specializing in gerontology. That one caught my eye.
Oh yeah, working with older adults, it's a growing field, for sure.
With the aging population, everything makes sense.
Absolutely. And it's not just about, helping with the day-to-day. You're talking healthcare systems, social inclusion, making sure people have what they need to really thrive as they get older.
It's a whole other level of expertise.
Okay,
So that's gerontology. What about some of those other less conventional paths? I mean, you've got me curious now.
Yeah, if you're thinking outside the box, how about forensic social work?
Forensic social work. Okay, now that sounds intense. What is that exactly?
So picture this. You're working within the criminal justice system, advocating for people impacted by crime. Could be counseling someone who's incarcerated, doing court-ordered assessments, even helping victims navigate the legal process.
Wow, heavy stuff.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. You need to be comfortable with the law, obviously, have strong communication skills, and of course that empathy we talked about.
Right, because everyone deserves someone in their corner. Okay, we've got working with older adults, navigating the legal system.
Yeah.
What about the tech side of things? Is there a place for that in social work?
100%. Actually, the whole world of social work tech is blowing up right now, using technology to, literally solve social problems.
So, wait, you could be a social worker and a tech innovator.
Exactly.
What would that look like day to day? Give me some examples.
Think apps that connect people with resources, online platforms for mental health support, even using data analysis to figure out where the inequalities are and how to fix them. It's about using those tools to reach more people, break down barriers.
That's amazing. It sounds like no matter what you're passionate about, there's a way to bring that into social work and make a difference.
That's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah. And that actually brings us back to those RoleCatcher articles.
Full circle.
Because no matter what kind of social work you're into, you got to be able to sell yourself, right? Especially in this tech-driven world.
It's true. You got to know how to talk about your skills, your passion, your experience in a way that
To
resonates.
show them what you're made of.
Exactly. It's about crafting your story, your commitment to this work,
Yeah.
showing them you're the one they need.
Love it. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap things up, don't you?
Yeah, I think so.
So, for anyone listening who's thinking about a career in social work, I hope this has given you a lot to think about. It's not always easy, that's for sure, but it's definitely a field where you can make a real difference in the world. Do your research, find what you're passionate about, and don't be afraid to embrace those new technologies. You might just be the one to change the game. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. We'll see you next time.